So a lot of you guys know I'm often frustrated by the way Marvel has treated Hulk, especially in the recent years, ever since Infinity War, honestly. And I decided I'm just gonna make a video on it. I'm tired. I'm gonna speak out. But I feel like the character of Hulk has been so mistreated by the MCU. And by the way, I want to say Mark Ruffalo is a tremendously talented actor. Like, don't get me wrong, he's talented, he's great. I thought he was amazing in the first Avengers. I think he was great in Age of Ultron. I even say he was great in Ragnarok. Um, and I've liked the Hulk in the MCU. I just think that as of recently, it just feels like Kevin Feige cannot hire the right person to take care of Hulk. And I know there's some struggles with Hulk because, of course, Marvel doesn't own all the distribution rights, meaning that they can't make a movie unless Universal has full on control of where to distribute the movie. But it's gone to a point where Hulk no longer feels like Hulk. He just feels like one giant big green dude. It kind of feels like they're trying to do like a Groot or something like that, where I love Groot for what he is, but Hulk and Groot are two completely different characters. To me, Hulk should not be treated the way he is. And one of these examples is, and by the way, I'm gonna say this too, and I'm gonna say an unpopular opinion, which I think has been getting more popular recently. But if you've been up on this channel for the last 2 years, you know that this has always been my opinion. I think that Incredible Hulk movie is still the single best Hulk movie we've gone of all time. I like that Eric Bana movie from years ago, the Hulk one, but I think Edward Norton, his performance as Hulk was just phenomenal. It was fantastic. And I think that's the perfect story of Hulk, because to me the character of Hulk has always been a genie in the bottle, or not genie, but a devil in the bottle story. It's about a guy who has a demon in him. He's not afraid of getting hurt. He's afraid of hurting others. Those are the kinds of stories I love, and Hulk has always been the depiction of that. You have characters like Spider-Man, where it's they have power, and with great power comes great responsibility. You have Batman, who has all these utilities and weapons, but he has the choice to do the right thing. You have Superman, who has this unlimited power, this godlike ability, but he's the one that chooses to good. But Bruce Banner has all this power, but he cannot control what happens with that power. And that's always been an interesting concept that very few other characters even have. He's not really that conscious when he becomes Hulk. It's just this crazy, rageful monster who, the more you hit Hulk, the more you try to hurt Hulk, the angrier he gets. And Hulk is also a character that doesn't have any combat skills or anything. He's giant, big, green, powerful, and he will just beat the crap out of anyone who's in his way. And that's what I've always loved about Hulk. But as of recently, ever since Infinity War, it just seems like we're not getting that. And I think that while, yes, that fight between Thanos and Hulk in Infinity War was amazing, I love that really intensified how strong Thanos is. Ever since then, Hulk has just downhill. They made this running joke in Infinity War that kind of got boring. I mean, I loved it the first few times, but when I rewatch Infinity War, I think because of how poorly Endgame treated Hulk, it felt like a disdain to the character. I've always said this. I'm always up into new interpretations of characters. I always like it when characters are changed up a little bit because let's get the creator's vision on a character. But at the end of the day, you still need the core essential motivations of that character. What makes that character that character? Look at Batman. You've had Michael Keaton. You've had I know a lot of y'all don't like George Clooney. I don't like George Clooney either. Or Batman. There's Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Ben Affleck, Christian Bale, Robert Pattinson. They all feel like Batman, but they're still a little different from one another. Like, you don't confuse one for another. You can tell there's differences, but they all have the core essential of what makes Batman Batman. Same thing with Spider-Man. You have Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire. Yes, they're slightly different, but they still have that core essential of what makes Spider-Man, Spider-Man. But with Hulk, it feels like these last three projects what we've seen him in, it just feels like they threw away everything from Hulk, and they were like, all right, let's make him this big funny green guy. And look, one of the examples is, I saw this tweet right here. I believe I'm on screen record mode, so I'm good. But this is one of the most iconic scenes in the entire MCU. This scene of we could use a little bit of anger, and then Hulk just, I love the iconic line. It's still one of my favorite scenes in the MCU, when Bruce Banner says, "That's my secret cap. I'm always angry," and then he morphs into Hulk and punches that giant Chitauri ship, and it just, that thing is far bigger than the size of Hulk, and yet Hulk is still manages to be able to like punch it, and that thing just flips, you know. But then in She-Hulk, my rant is mainly going to be about Endgame's portrayal of Hulk, but because She-Hulk carries on that portrayal, I'm also going to bring up She-Hulk. But you had this scene where there's a Jeep and Hulk somehow gets ran over by it. I don't get what. Like, I'm fine with Professor Hulk. Like, I'm fine with that concept, but that's something you only do like once, because Professor Hulk is just not the core essential of what Hulk is. I'm sorry. And then look at Age of Ultron when the Hulk went completely crazy. I still think this is one of the most underrated scenes in the entire MCU. But that fight scene in Age of Ultron, where Tony literally has to specifically make weaponry. You know, he's a very intelligent guy with all the money in the world, and he has to specifically make a suit of armor that's not the one he usually uses, but he uses a suit of armor that is specifically modified so that if Hulk ever lashes out, there is that backup plan, and even has these power things to help control the Hulk. And even with all that being said, Hulk is still causing this massive destruction. Look, all the weaponry that not Hulk, Iron Man has, and he barely manages to knock out Hulk. And what I love about this scene, and I wish I could play it right now, but what I love about this scene is during this entire time, you see all the destruction, even though there's specific things made to keep Hulk intact. With all that being said, there's still so much damage. The military is still there, and nobody can do a single thing about it. Everyone's running away. You can see the fear in everyone's eyes when they see Hulk lashing out. And what I specifically love is around the ending scene when the fight's about to end. And I don't know if I can find the clip right here, but right around when the fight's about to end, you see Hulk kind of looking around, like kind of being like, "Holy crap, look what I did!" And you see a lot of destruction. And then Tony just barely manages to finally knock out Hulk. That is the Hulk I want. You know, I don't want Professor Hulk. This is a character whose most iconic thing is about his rage and his anger. I mean, look at World Breaker Hulk here. But now, he's being ran over by Jeeps. That fight between She-Hulk, yes, they did clearly establish that Hulk is far more powerful than She-Hulk. And I like that. But they made it so, like, barely at all. Like, she was able to throw him and all that. I'm like, wait, but this Hulk is, like, 15 years experienced in this arena. He has fought literal alien armies. While She-Hulk, up until that point, I think all she did was scare off those guys from early in the episode. Like, Hulk should just be able to just grab She-Hulk and say, hey, you cannot manage me, you cannot boss me. I am the Incredible Hulk. And you know what? I'm gonna say this right now, and I know some people are gonna say, "Oh, Isaac, that makes no sense logically." But around the beginning in the episode, when the car flips over because they saw a ship, I know Bruce has a specific thing that helps him go from Hulk and then Bruce. But you know how cool it would have been if in that scene when the car flips over, you see now it would have just been a quick scene. It could have even been off camera too, where you just quickly see Hulk break out. No matter what controls he has, Hulk breaks out. He's all angry. He's all mad. And then we don't see that until maybe at the end of the episode. Maybe you get like the flashback of that, or you get Bruce explaining that he went out after that ship. But during that time, you have Jennifer Walters. You have her get the blood from Bruce Banner during that moment. And I feel like once Hulk transforms back to Bruce in that scene, you could have had Bruce be like, oh crap, blood fell into her. And he's also realizing the machine, as good as it is, cannot maintain the control of Hulk. And it would have been just a quick, nice little scene that establishes that the anger in Hulk still can't be 100% controlled. And not only that, but the whole Professor Hulk thing, the one thing that really pissed me off is, yes, I understand Endgame was already 3 hours long. I understand that there's a lot to maintain, and not only that, but we have to understand that Endgame was specifically more story about Tony and Cap, because it's the ending of their story. You know, it's been a long run. But if you're going to change something major about Hulk, and you just quickly say, "Oh, it's off screen. Oh, I put the brains and the bronze together. Now look at me, best of both worlds." That is the single laziest thing ever. You have this character who's been in the MCU from the beginning, and instead of giving him the proper scene of him finally, after years of torture and torment, you finally have this moment where he's finally able to control Hulk, and all you do it is do it off screen. That is the laziest, most stupid thing ever. What it could have been instead is Hulk say, "Yeah, I was able to," and then just to have a quick flashback of Hulk like in the machine, and you could even do this instead for She-Hulk too, where you just have him finally able to control it. But you know how much better it would have been if in the final battle of Endgame they do something with what I just established for She-Hulk, where the ships explode, and all of a sudden you see, no matter how good Bruce Banner is at controlling the Hulk, he's still going to come out. And then all of a sudden you see Hulk all angry. He sees the ship. And then that final battle, you see Hulk ready to just fight. You know how cool it would have been? Instead, they just keep him as Professor Hulk. And I just, it's kind of lazy how they're like, "Oh yeah, Bruce can now just control Hulk." But they don't explain how he managed to do that. Because he's been doing it for 10 years. For 10 years, he just couldn't figure it out. And all of a sudden, he just can, and it's off screen. That is lazy. That is pathetic. This is one of your most core essential characters in the entire Marvel Universe. You don't need to make a solo movie on having to explain all that. These are quick scenes you could just add on to the movies and the shows. It would have been amazing, and it would have continued the story of Hulk further along, showing that even though Bruce has all the technology in the world, and yes, he can control Hulk for a certain amount of time, Hulk's rage is just too powerful to control. It's just too powerful to control. Even in Thor Ragnarok, I know a lot of people bash on that movie, but at least that movie had this amazing scene where Bruce falls out the ship and you just see kind of his body there. And then, the giant wolf is about to attack the people of Asgard. But then, you see something's pulling him. Something that is far bigger than the size of Hulk. And Hulk is just dragging it and completely beats the crap out of the wolf. I can understand if Hulk loses fights to Thor. That's understandable because Thor is the god of Asgard, And also Thor is far more experienced in combat than Hulk. And I also understand Thanos beating Hulk because Thanos, again, is the same size as Hulk, but he's intelligent. He knows how to fight. He knows how to combat. That happens in real life too. If you put two strong buff guys in a room, the one that's going to win is going to be the one that understands a little more about fighting because you know how to dodge, you know where are the right spots to hit, and I understand that. But if you're going to have these core essential changes to the character, you explain it better, and you also keep making it interesting. Instead, in that She-Hulk episode, what you just saw is big green guy tries to teach slightly smaller green girl how to fight, but the entire time it's just, what is she learning? I mean, she's just, it was stupid. It's stupid how She-Hulk, I mean, I don't think they ruined Hulk. I think Endgame was what ruined Hulk. As amazing as Endgame is, and as much as I love the Russo brothers, the way they have treated the character of Incredible Hulk is unacceptable. And as Hulk fans, we should not tolerate that. I mean, Marvel does listen to fans. I mean, look what happened with Mandarin. They saw the backlash for Mandarin, and then eventually they brought him back in Shang-Chi and gave us a proper Mandarin. And I still believe Wenwu is the best MCU villain, at least in my personal perspective, in the entire MCU. And I think the same has to go with Hulk. I'm tired of this Professor Hulk. I know everyone says, "Oh, but it's been 10 years, Hulk has to change and evolve." Yeah, that is true. But could you at least show us? It's still the single laziest thing ever in the entire MCU. And again, you don't need a solo movie. You can just add these quick scenes. Or, just remind us about the big, powerful Hulk. And it also still frustrates me that, Bruce can just control Hulk. But they just kind of quickly tell you about the machine. They don't actually go in depth as to how he managed to do it, how long it took him. Because we also have to remember, when when Bruce explains how Hulk and Bruce were able to merge, he makes it sound like it was this quick little nothing. Even though Endgame had like a 5-year gap. I feel like it would have been so much better if they emphasized that it took so long to do. And even with all the hard work, Hulk's anger, and I'm not saying Hulk, but I'm saying Hulk's anger is still incredibly difficult to maintain, and I feel like they could have paid that off if in the battle, in the end game battle, you see Hulk lash out, you see almost world breaker Hulk. Maybe not to that level. I don't think we'll ever see that level, honestly, just because Marvel clearly doesn't respect Hulk. But just please do that. And Ken Feige, honestly, if moving forward, I don't know what the answer is anymore, because I feel like they've tarnished Hulk's legacy so much. I mean, you can always still improve, but I don't know. Something has to improve with Hulk. I don't think it's acceptable. I'm still looking forward to She-Hulk. I think the first episode was fairly decent. I think it has a lot of flaws, but I think they can still improve. I mean, there's 8 more episodes to go, so I think there's still enough room to improve. But overall, the character of Hulk has just been absolutely demolished by Marvel Studios, and I don't think it's acceptable. But anyways, you guys let us know in the comment sections down below. What do you think about this? Whether you agree, disagree, let us know in the comment sections down below, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.